Skate is one of those games almost anyone can pick up and have fun in. Everyone has their own playstyle. Street lines, glitchers, shutting down a spot to upgrade your character, and my personal favorite, hitting stunt challenges. I used to play a lot of Skate 3 back in the day, and for better or worse, I fell in love with that category. Nothing else can give me that same euphoric feeling of hitting an impossible stunt after hours of trying. The closest equivalent that I can think of, probably outside of Waffle House with 3 needles in my butt. Unfortunately, I can't confirm because I've yet to try that. Now, for some people, Skate isn't the wet dream their Giga Chad brain thought it was going to be. The art style and realism just isn't up to their Darwinian standards. I wouldn't call the game perfect, but what it does have to offer is exactly why I got into the series in the first place. And I will be showcasing the ruthless, time-consuming obsession of landing what is for now Skate's biggest board gap. This is the quest to hit Skate's hardest stunt challenge. Let's break this down. You start at the top of this rooftop above the parking garage. Jump off at the precise timing to land on these ramps you place at the bottom. Once there, maneuver yourself off the second ramp and towards that small gap to the left. Don't use a spread eagle because obviously that's lame as hell, but I did it here, landed it, and rode off into the sunset. Or rather, into the shrub. I started my attempts late at night after receiving inspiration from the creator ZexyZek.
Oh, come on! Come on! Come on! Oh, yes! Oh, it's so close!
Honestly, I was just messing around at this point and seeing how close my attempts could get. But yeah, the server had maintenance, so I ended up calling it a night. The next day around 2 p.m, I booted the game back up again to try some more attempts. And I got close. Really close.
Dax fun fact.
After this, I hit a couple more attempts with the spread eagle. It was temporarily satisfying, especially after so many slams into the pavement. But clearly, it wasn't what I was going for. I wanted at least one attempt where my board landed in the alleyway, to feel at least like I was improving. And later, it finally happened. Okay, so I got the attempt I was looking for, but why didn't I land? I felt like I had the right direction and all 4 wheels on the ground. What else could I possibly need to roll off cleanly? I thought about it for some time and figured out there was one variable I had a difficult time controlling: speed. You see, this is a very precise stunt. Multiple things have to go perfectly just to have a chance at completing it. The initial speed off the rooftop has to be perfect. You need just enough to gap over the initial lip and hit the ramp. Too much, and you'll either overshoot the ramp or simply have too much momentum and slam at the bottom. Too little, and you won't make the ramp at all. For this, I changed my setup. With a ramp at the top instead of pushing, it gave me about 40% consistency just to land on the ramp. The other issue was you must orientate yourself with the absolute tiniest micro adjustments while flying down the parking garage. One wrong centimeter of moving your joystick in either direction will cause you to ping pong off the sides. Lastly, you need the best angle off the bottom ramp to head into the direction of the alley. These variables require flawless execution. No wonder why the stunt is considered near impossible, at least for someone with my skill set. I've only seen 3 people hit the stunt, and all of them were avid Skate 3 players for years. I had about 2 years of experience in the game, and that was nearly a decade ago. But I was determined, and kept banging my head into the wall over and over again, both figuratively and literally. At last, I felt like I landed exactly where I belong, in the garbage. At this point, I had spent a total of 7 hours on this stunt. The montage showcased less than 1% of my total failed attempts. I was starting to feel like this wasn't going to happen. But out of all of my failures, it gave me motivation to keep pushing forward. This stunt was going to take a little bit of luck and a lot of patience. Speaking of patience, there was a problem I was going to have to deal with before getting back to it. You see, a ton of people had joined me up on the rooftop, and one of them did not want to see me win. Braxton McLean, a short little spawn of Satan that started removing my ramps and trying to replace them. His troglodyte brain had no idea how and where to set things up. With an IQ of 43 and no prior experience, I don't have a clue why he was moving things around. He probably just couldn't land the jump. I was beat at this point, so I was willing to attempt his setup regardless. I went back to my reset point, and what do you know, the undersized demon had removed my ramp. I was in a perpetual state of freefall, calling out for help. I eventually made it back on, and I was on a mission. I needed to find this Braxton. I initially tried messaging him on PSN, but of course, he had his settings blocked. So instead I settled for drop-kicking death in the face and moved on. It was starting to get pretty late at night and I was left alone on the rooftop. I decided to try one more thing to mitigate my speed, but as you can tell by the game audio, I was starting to lose my mind. Man, I just love this Minecraft feature. This must be like how they built cities, ramp by ramp. The only reason I tried this setup was because it was similar to the one Seamaster, the originator of this stunt, used when he landed it. To be honest, I was just getting paranoid about having too much speed and thought this would help. Maybe if I followed the path of Nimbus, I could finally do this. And no, this didn't work for me at all. I failed to even land on the parking garage over 200 times. So I ended things there and called it a night. I had at this point been trying for over 10 hours total. Things were looking grim. I had only a couple attempts on board where I was in the alleyway. Well, actually that isn't true. You see, I skipped over a section in the first 2 hours of trying this day, and this is what happened in that time. With my initial strategy, I had gotten 3 amazing attempts within a half hour. Now, there were a few reasons I switched up my strategy in the first place. With the push runs, my consistency of landing on the parking garage was around every 1 in 4 tries. On top of that, I thought I had too much speed because nothing was landing. And lastly, the only 2 people I saw make the stunt were using ramps. But thinking back on how close I had gotten, I decided the next day I would try it again. This was the result. It was getting frustrating. This amount of close attempts was enough to make Mordecai punch Rigby in the face. 2 hours in and still nothing was landing. I had found another person attempting the stunt, MXC Flurry, who was dedicated to hitting it. We were both at it for the whole time. When he went to take a break, I told him I was going to keep going for 15 minutes and end any more attempts after that. 5 minutes later, I couldn't believe what had happened. At last, it was finally over. Luckily, I wasn't recording my voice during this take. It honestly would have sounded much like a monkey in the zoo after 9 p.m. After around 11 hours of attempts, the quest to hit Skate's biggest stunt was finally complete. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would appreciate it tons, and it will help me create more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.